We have 11 states where we're either ahead, there are 5 where we're ahead, there are 3 where we're even, there are 3 where we're close, and all of a sudden new states keep popping up. In Oklahoma, we're only 9 points down. That's not one of the 11. In Georgia, we're only 7 points down. That's not one of the 11. So this could be a sea change election for the United States Senate. And as I started out by saying, the #1 reason is our candidates. They are high quality. One of Harry's goals and my goals is to just bring to the Senate the kind of stature that it has had in the past. And it can only happen with really fine, good, talented people. And we're blessed that they have stepped up to the plate and decided to run. And when you hear from them and our other candidates, you'll know what I mean. Accomplished in the Oregon Assembly what we were able to accomplish in the Senate 2 years ago. He turned it blue. He did it with a great deal of acumen and knowledge about how to win in places that had traditionally been red. He also was doing such a good job as Speaker that when we researched Oregon, we said, we'd love this guy to run for the Senate. And again, when we called Jeff Merkley and said, why don't you think about it? It was the call to country that really made him forward. He has had an incredible record in the Oregon legislature. He understands the politics of Oregon. Gordon Smith is one of the least popular Republican incumbents and keeps trying to change who he is. He does more commercials with Barack Obama and John Kerry than he does with John McCain and with George Bush. And that shows you the direction of what's happening in both Oregon and in the country. Jeff Merkley.
Thank you very much, Senator, and appreciate your leadership. And I think the candidates that we see assembled here and some who are not here reflect enormous effort to recruit folks who will help to turn our nation around. I want to introduce my wife, Mary Soderberg. She doesn't get to join me very often on the campaign trail, so I'm so delighted she's going to. Many of you may know that the job of being the spouse, especially if you have small children, is the hardest job in a campaign. And so I've been delighted to have a partner in life who's been with me in every decision we've made together about putting our efforts towards making a better community, a better state, and a better nation. You know, I'm the son of a working man. My father always worked with his hands, but he believed passionately in the vision of opportunity in this nation. When I was a child, he took me to the doors of the schoolhouse, and he said, son, you go through those doors and you study hard, you can do and be just about anything here in America. And that's a vision I embrace wholeheartedly. Next month, when I take my children to school, start of the school year, I'm going to be saying, Jonathan and Bryn, you remember the story, what your grandfather used to say? They're going to say, yes, Dad, we know. Go through the doors of the schoolhouse and study hard, and we can do and be just about anything here in America. Well, I'll tell you this, it's only a vision in reality if we make it so, with our Congress, with our President, with our U.S. Senate. 5 years ago, I was very frustrated with the paralysis in Oregon. In Oregon, I was beating my head against the wall on health care, on education, on civil rights, on education, on the environment, and on consumer protection. And I talked with Mary and I said, you know, there are 2 things I can do. One is we have a citizen legislature. I can focus on my job, not run for re-election. We'll raise our kids in a much saner environment. And the other option is I can quit my job and plunge in wholeheartedly and try to break this paralysis so that this state can move forward. And Mary backed me up, and I chose to resign my job and to focus, to dive in. I was elected Democratic leader because I just wasn't ready to give up on Oregon. And last year, we had the most progressive, productive session in the United States of America as a result, in each of those areas, in education, in health care, in civil rights, in consumer protection, in the environment. But here's the thing. Oregon can only go so far. Any of our states can only go so far if our nation is profoundly off track. And just as the Oregon House was paralyzing government, so is the challenge to the U.S. Senate today. We do not have a working majority that can get the 60 votes needed to move bills to the floor of the Senate. That's why I'm running. for the U.S. Senate, because we need that working majority to be able to work with Barack Obama and this war in Iraq. Create affordable, accessible health care for every single child. Restore an economy with living wage jobs. Create an energy policy that doesn't make $600 billion for oil companies and leave us with $4 at the gas pump. People understand that we need a smart energy policy for the foundation of this nation and our economy down the road. And that we need to invest in education. We need to restore the integrity of the United States of America at home and abroad. So there's a lot of work to do. That's why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. You know, my son and daughter were playing basketball a couple of years ago, just learning to play, and we put the basketball hoop way down low so that my daughter could get the ball, and they were playing horse. If you miss, it's the other child's turn. And so Jonathan shot and missed. He was then about 9, and so I gave the ball to Bryn, and she was about 7, and she shot and missed. And instead of giving the ball back to Jonathan, she grabbed it and she said, "That was a mess up. It doesn't count." Well, Jonathan let her shoot again. And she shot again and she missed again, and she said, "It's a mess up. It just doesn't count." He demanded the ball back. And one more time, Jonathan gave her the ball back. She shot the third time. The third time she again missed, and again she claimed the ball, saying it was a mess up. It just doesn't count. And this time, Jonathan, with all the wisdom of a boy on this planet just 2 more years than his sister, turns to her and says, "You know, Bryn, it works like this. You only get so many mess-ups, and then it's someone else's turn." And that's where we are in the U.S. right now. We've had too many mess-ups with Gordon Smith and George Bush. And it's someone else's turn. It's the people's turn. It's our turn to create a nation that works again for working